Hi guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you a bit of a book haul. I was in London this past Thursday for a book event, and I decided to spend a little bit of time in the city shopping for yarn and for books. Two things that I'm not technically really supposed to be buying right now because I'm trying to reduce the number of both of those things that I currently have, but whatever. And yes, my family is going to absolutely roast me for this. Feel free to roast me as well because I did just post a video about wanting to reduce my TBR, which I'm still trying to do, but content is content. To my family, I love you very much. Feel free to bring this up at the dinner table. So the first of these books is actually not one that I bought. This is from my friend who works at Scholastic. I went to go see Mona Awad with her, and she very kindly brought me a copy of Beth is Dead, and this is by Katie Burnett. This is a super murdery YA mystery twist on Little Women, and Beth obviously is dead. She's found murdered in their front yard and they have to figure out what's happened. I believe this might be contemporary set, and I'm very, very curious about this one because apparently the author is not only obsessed with Little Women, so she's kind of the perfect person to write this book, she is also from a family of lots and lots of sisters. So this comes out in January 2026 from Scholastic. Really, really looking forward to this one. So the rest of the books in this haul are all from Forbidden Planet in London. So I love going to Forbidden Planet. It's one of my favorite places to shop for books in person because they just have a bunch of stuff that nobody else really seems to. Foyles used to be an amazing place to look for books and find kind of American editions usually that you can't necessarily find very easily here in the UK in bookshops, but they were bought by Waterstones, so they tend to have a lot of the same stock, as does Blackwell's. So in terms of places that are really, really big in London and really fun to browse in, Forbidden Planet is definitely the best place for me. So first up, I have The Call of Cthulhu and Other Stories by H.P. Lovecraft. So Rachel from Shades of Orange, who's one of my favorite channels, did a video about essential horror reading, and she talked a lot about Lovecraft, and I realized that I've never actually read any of his stuff. I've read loads of stuff that is reimagined from his work, but I've never really gone back to the source material, which is something that I really enjoy doing. And I think part of the reason that I don't always get cosmic horror is because I've never read any of his stuff before. So I specifically went for an edition that had The Call of Cthulhu because that was, I think, the story that she shouted out specifically. This has a bunch of other stuff that I have heard of, including The Horror at Red Hook, which is a deeply racist story, but it happens to be the story that the Victor Laval, The Ballad of Black Tom, the Victor Laval book, is based on. And I love that novella. It's a great novella, and I feel like reading the original material will help a lot with my kind of understanding of that book, and I do want to reread that at some point. H.P. Lovecraft, of course, is a notorious racist, but you know what else he is? He's really, really fucking dead. So I am very much looking forward to diving into his work. I'm very, very curious about it and see what all the fuss is about. Next up, I have a gothic novel from an author I've never read before, but have always wanted to, just never had the chance. This is All of Us Murderers by K.J. Charles. So K.J. Charles is an extraordinarily prolific author, and the fact that I haven't read any of her stuff yet is shocking to me. She writes a lot of queer stories, especially books about queer men, and because this one has a lot of gothic undertones and it's about an inheritance, one of my favorite things, this is a must-read for me. So this book follows Zeb Weckman, and he is summoned to a relative's gigantic remote gothic mansion, and he learns that it is for the purpose of a will reading, and he intends to leave his entire fortune to whoever will marry his young ward, which naturally sets everyone off trying to fight for her hand. However, he is not interested. He wants to leave, but he cannot. The gates are barred. The house is trapped him inside, and not only is he stuck with his terrible family, also his ex-lover is there as well. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's got lots of tension, apparently, lots of paranoia, and I love a gothic story, so this is going to be a super fun one. And now I can peel the £1 sticker off the front cover. The next book that I bought is one that I actually have from NetGalley, but I really wanted to own a physical copy of it because if there's ever a horror book written for me, it feels like it would be this one, and that is Crafting for Sinners by Jennifer Kiefer. I actually tried her debut novel, which was This Wretched Valley. It was called This Wretched Valley, and that one wasn't for me, but I think that this sounds like it's going to be a fabulous read, so we'll see. In this book, we follow a young woman named Ruth who is trapped in her small rural Kentucky town with no way out. And one day she goes to a big box store called New Creations, and it is owned by the church that dominates her small town life. She attempts to shoplift some yarn and is caught red-handed, but instead of calling the police, the employees instead lock her in the store and attack her, and the only way that she can get out is to fight her way out using craft supplies on hand. What a hoot. This sounds like it's going to be so much fun. I am a little bit cautious because I didn't love This Wretched Valley, but again, sounds like it's perfect for me. So I'm very curious. We'll see how this goes. I think this is going to be one that I try to read soon. Jax is stealing all of these stickers, so I have to put them out of her reach, because she's a menace. This next book sounds absolutely fascinating. I've not heard anyone talking about this, and I'm very curious. This is How to Fake Haunting by Krista Carmen. In this book, we follow a woman named Lainey Taylor, not spelled the same way as the YA author, and she is at the mercy of her alcoholic husband, whose behavior is spiraling more and more out of control. So she and her friend decide that they are going to come up with a plan to drive him out of her life completely, and that is to fake a haunting in their house. Nothing is too over the top, from like horrible smells to noises in the walls to flies unleashed on the windowsills. However, there's so much fear and resentment building in this house that things start to go horribly wrong. This sounds amazing. I love the theory that hauntings are like created by emotion and huge emotional events or traumatic events. Whether or not I actually believe in hauntings is another question, and this sounds like it's going to be a great take on that theory and that idea. This sounds like it's going to be a really good one. The next book I got is a very spooky sounding folk horror book. I don't know why, but it's giving me some Blair Witch vibes, which I'm very excited for. This is They Fear Not Men in the Woods by Gretchen McNeil. In this book, we follow a woman named Jen who 7 years ago left her hometown after her father mysteriously disappeared, and now she gets a text message from her estranged mother saying that her father's remains have been found, so she does in fact come back. She, however, is not convinced that her father has actually passed away, so when her ex-boyfriend proposes a camping trip in the woods, which is such a red flag to me, but what do I know, she figures that this is her perfect opportunity to try to investigate what happened and to try to find her father. However, as I'm sure you can imagine, things do not go well. This sounds like a fabulous read. I am not a camper. I am not an outdoorsy girl, so this sounds like pure horror to me, and I absolutely love a folk horror story. And the last book that I have originally captured me by the cover, and then by the tagline, and then the actual plot. So I picked up a copy of The Resurrectionist by Kathleen S. Allen. I absolutely love this cover so much. I especially love the lime green, and the tagline is, "She killed her sister twice." I absolutely love books about sisters. I have a sister myself, whom I love very, 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 very much, but still, this captured my interest for sure. Don't worry, Julia, you're gonna be fine. So this book follows 17-year-old Dilly Rothbart, and she finds her deceased father's journal, which holds the secrets to resurrecting the dead, and she becomes completely obsessed. She falls into the world of like grave robbing and all kinds of medical mischief, and her twin sister gets in her way, and Dilly does what she has to do. For obvious reasons, this one sounds very, very much like a Frankenstein-inspired story, and that's one of my absolute favorite books, and I'm so incredibly curious about this. I'm wondering if I'm especially hopeful for this book because it feels like maybe it's going to give me what Anatomy, a Love Story did not. Oh, what a disappointing book with such a fabulous cover that was. I couldn't make my way through it, but I think that this is going to give me what I did not get from that particular book. I'm really excited for this. So those are the 7 books that I acquired on Thursday. I would love to hear if you've heard of any of these books, because some of these I feel like aren't necessarily being talked about a lot, at least not in the circles that I occupy, and I would especially love to know if you have read any of these books. That's it for today, and I will talk to you soon.